Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Braxton, and I am the owner of Improv for Caregivers. But even more importantly, I have been in the aging industry, specifically with dementia care, for about 28 years now. And one of the things I did during the height of COVID was get on to Reddit and touch base with a lot of people that were really struggling and having people, someone who they cared for, being kind of sheltered in place with them at home. And so I did as much as I could during my time of being sheltered at home to help those. And I continue to see posts on Reddit, lots of different kinds of questions people are posting, and questions where there's so many people giving great answers. But a lot of the questions I'm starting to see there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of things in memory care as us for caregivers, we just don't know. So what I'd like to do is bring you something called daily dementia demos. And what that's going to include may be questions that might be posed by someone on a dementia subreddit. They might be a question posed to me in an email, or just a thought or an idea I had while I was working with the residents that I care for on a daily basis during my full-time job. So with this first video, and of course, hopefully I'll get better looking as we go on, I wanted to address something that seems to be a very prevalent concern and question for a lot of people, and that is, how do we pay for memory care? What do I do as my parents get older and realize they didn't have the retirement we thought they did? Okay, so here's the thing. There's two different payment methods that kind of get people really messed up. There's the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. And when I think about Medicaid, I think of those last three letters, AID, aid, and I kind of put it together with public aid. And that's going to help you remember that Medicaid is something like a governmental supplement, okay, that you have to apply for. Medicare is something that you've earned over time by working, right? All these years that your parents have worked, all the years that you're working, you're having taxes taken out of your check, and it's going to Medicare. Now, here's the sticky thing. Memory care for a person who's going to need long-term custodial care in a memory care facility, because we can no longer take care of them ourselves, is not covered under Medicare. Okay, Medicare, typically you get about 100 days per calendar year of Medicare coverage that the government allows, right? So that means if you fall and break a hip, and you've gone to the hospital, had surgery, now you have rehab, you're in a rehab facility, you're being seen by physical therapy and occupational therapy, really intensive work. And so you have 100 days to utilize. Now, here's the other catch. Those 100 days are not paid at 100%. So be mindful of this as well. Medicare, I know this is tricky. Think about it. You got 100 days of Medicare. The first 20 are covered at 100%. The other 80, I think, are covered at 80%. Now, if you don't use all of your 100 days in one specific stint, you have days later on in the year you can use if you have another fall or need more rehab. But Medicare does not cover custodial care for memory care. So be mindful of that. So now we're down to, okay, mom or dad need a facility. It's long-term care. She's going to be in there. She's going to move in. This is probably the last place she's going to live. How do I pay for this? Medicaid is probably what you're going to start to look at. And what they look at in that is what kind of assets, how many assets does your family member, your loved one have? In most states, it varies anywhere from a cutoff of $2,000 to $3,000 in assets. That means if mom or dad has a house or they have a ton of assets, they're going to need to do something called a spend down, right? So you can kind of finagle the math and figure, okay, if it costs me $10,000 a month for mom to live here and she has $100,000 to spend down, we've got about 8 or 9 months to play with where she would be considered a private pay resident paying from her own assets to pay for her care. At that point, at about 7, 8 months, now we're starting to look at, okay, her assets are totally dwindling. Now we need to apply for Medicaid. And an application for Medicaid is a lot like what we had to do. A lot of us had to do during COVID. We had to apply for Medicaid coverage because a lot of us lost our healthcare coverage. So it's the same type of thing. And then that person gets admitted Their payer source changes, but nothing else changes. It's just the payer source. There's like 3 people in a nursing home that literally would know this. No one really knows. The payer source then changes from that person being a private pay resident to being a Medicaid resident. The change the care does not change. Please know this. There are, like I said, about 3 or 4 people in an entire nursing home memory care facility that know a person's payer source. It is not common knowledge. It is not a sign over somebody's door. So it does not matter the payer source in regards to the type of care you're going to get. So be mindful of that too. What I want to do is just kind of finish this up for the day. I'm hoping that this was enough information to kind of get you started and get your wheels turning. There's so many more things about payment. There's spousal impoverishment that I can talk about. There's going to see an elder attorney that will help kind of start to move and finagle funds that is legal and a way to kind of protect someone's assets. So please continue to follow daily dementia demos. That's what we're going to be doing here. And as my lovely son, or a tech advisor, told me to say, my Reddit user name is Kathy, Cathy, Brax, Brax 26. That's it. So you can send me a direct message through there. You can mention me on the dementia subreddit, and I will do my best to address your question on a video if you're okay with that. Because again, what you have concerns about, there's most likely a lot of other people thinking the same thing, wondering the same thing, and looking for answers, and are so grateful that you threw that question out there. You can also send me an email. Now, as I said, I am a content creator, and I own a company called Improv for Caregivers, where I focus on communication. So you can send me an email there. It's improv, IMPROV, the number 4, caregivers @gmail.com. You can do that. And as my tech advisor also told me, all my links will be in the description, whatever that means. So, I don't do tech, I do dementia. So I hope you do come back to this channel and enjoy the videos and pass this information on to anybody that you think will participate and really just kind of grow from everything that we're going to talk about. Don't be afraid to reach out. Love to hear from you. Thanks again. Bye-bye.